And welcome to TNM Unplugged podcast and Zoran Todorovic.space interconnected podcast, the space where you are uplifting your soul, uplifting your mind and your heart to the next level of itself. And today we have this wonderful guest that already joined us once before. We had this beautiful conversation and a lot of people benefited from these talks and kind of got in touch with me and told me, when can you have Marcia Reynolds back with you once again? And I said, soon. And now is the time. Both Marcia and myself are super busy, but we managed to find a sweet spot in our crazy lives to share more wisdom that would really touch you, elevate you, and get you to the next levels of yourself. And today's topic, it's really important one for all of us right now. This is on comfort with the unknown. How do we really get comfortable with this general unknown in the world right now? And how do we bring this unknown into conversations? And also, how do we coach ourselves and people to step into the unknown, through the unknown, into some kind of creation going forward? I keep on, being asked from a lot of people to coach them in this space of uncertainty, ambiguity, not knowing, when people are a little bit tense and nervous because they used to know, but now we are in this space of unknown a lot of the time, most of the time. So we need to learn how to be comfortable with all of that, right? So this is going to be a lovely conversation for us today. If you don't know Marcia, first of all, go to her website, which is covisioning.com. and visit her wonderful blog. I read her blog all the time because she uses this vehicle of communication to really share her knowledge, her wisdom, her experience. She's absolutely remarkable woman. She is a master teacher and master coach that is really engaging and influential, and he gets people to connect, to activate, to really understand their emotions, and to really become the best possible versions of themselves. She has worked across the world. I had the privilege in collaborating with Marcia on many different projects and programs across the world. But she was teaching in the schools in Italy, in Turkey, in Russia, in China, in India, Philippines, and across North America. She is known with her ability to change people's minds and to engage people in beautiful and amazing ways. Again, not to talk a lot about Marcia, what I would love you to do is go to Marcia's website, covisioning.com, click on the blog, click about Marcia, and you can see her there as well. And you can follow her social media links in the link below after seeing and watching this podcast. So welcome, Marcia.
Thank you, Zoran. So good to see you.
So good to see you as well. So let's dive into the unknown.
Okay.
I mean, we've been in this unknown for quite some time right now, right?
Well, it's funny, as you said, dive into the unknown. It's really just diving into the present because nothing is ever known. I mean, I don't even know what's going to happen up in my front yard in the next hour, but I always pretend like I think I do. So when you said people are calling you, it's like they're facing the fact that the unknown exists, even though there's never any way for us to know what's going to happen next. But we need to feel we're in control.
Yeah.
We need to feel we know, or how will we succeed? And the brain says, you must know. And if we don't, it creates a fear, even though it's the normal state.
So you say that our brain, when it doesn't know and it loses this sense of control of knowing, creates a little bit of fear, and then we get nervous and tense and we kind of,
Right. I was coaching a woman last night and we were talking about, she's new to her position, but they promoted her twice, and it's a very diverse group. And she said to me, she's got a challenge coming up. She said, well, last time you coached me through this thing, it's like I was so afraid because I didn't know. And then I did it, I succeeded, and now I'm comfortable. I said, but that's the thing, is that if we have not experienced something before, then we're afraid we won't be able to handle it. And the brain's primary function is to keep you safe. So, in this space of not knowing what's going to happen. There's fear, it's like that primal fear. I don't know what's going to happen. When, why wouldn't you assume, if you look at your life, that you would be able to handle this situation? Have you had similar successes in the past? So the assumption that we will fail, we won't be able to handle it, it's, the life is upside down, just comes with the uncertainty of, I don't know what's going to happen, which again is a natural state, but we don't acknowledge it.
I think that we're all waking up into this natural state. And
yes.
I also
what a great learning.
What a great learning. I think we got used to, plan, organize, structure, vision our life, put everything into the place, have a certain times when we go to holidays, have certain times when we visit our friends, our family, the cycles of life with the Halloween, with Christmas, with Thanksgiving, and all other, international holidays. It's somehow, it was anchoring us in us knowing exactly what is going to be happening next. And right now, in the last 2 years specifically, a lot of that got disrupted, right? And all of that got out of the window. So suddenly we were
the regular, the routine.
The routine, right?
The routine that makes us feel comfortable. Yeah. That's funny, because you said that, well, Halloween, okay. Well, I had more kids here this year than I've had in the last 5 years. It's like, oh my God, I have to go dig out some candy. Because they were all so happy to be out, and, so it's like, that wasn't known. I didn't plan for that.
Yeah.
But I want to say something, Zoran, for years, because you and I taught leadership together, and we were always saying, you must embrace ambiguity. But nobody it was so abstract. It's like, yeah, okay, well, I'll embrace ambiguity, but they didn't know what they were talking about.
Yes.
Now they do. It's like, oh, that's what ambiguity means. And I guess I better embrace it, because from this point going forward, do we know? Do we know? We don't know. To think that we would ever get back to normal, there's no normal. Not anymore. So,
yeah, I agree. And that being comfortable with that not knowing is something that we can kind of explore and unpack and look into what is necessary for all of us, including you and me, to really relax into that space of knowing that unknown. It's something that it's our current version of our life, which is being fully present in the moment, right?
Yeah. And we think it's not in our control, but just if you think about, I have a choice. I can either be afraid of the unknown, or I could be excited about the unknown. Can I look at, wow, I don't know what's going to happen. That's amazing. Something new could come up. Can I shift? And oftentimes it's just a matter of, it's shifting our emotional state. It's breathing through it. And not assuming the worst will happen. Because that's what happens. When we get afraid, our brain just goes into, what's the worst that can happen? You've seen that with your clients, I'm sure, that they either vacillate between the best thing's going to happen or the worst thing's going to happen, and never like, well, who knows? Anything's possible. It could be in the middle. How I approach it, I have different options. So to navigate through it, knowing we have options instead of, I will succeed or I will fail,
And that choice, I love what you're sharing, the choice of how do we relate to unknown? Is that a beautiful and amazing adventure that it's yet to be unfolded into our lives, so that we're like, wow, this stepping into unknown can really so exciting. What will happen next? Instead of us being, I feel really nervous because I don't know. This sense of control that we have. What is your take on this? Where does this come from? You mentioned that our brain is trying to protect us, of course, right? And our brain is trying to control the circumstances around us and make sure that we're safe, and so on and so forth. What else gets people to be in this space of needing to control their life or needing to control unknown?
Yeah. Well, there's one of the most well-known stress researchers, is a professor out of Stanford, runs the whole neuroscience department. Robert Sapolsky, very funny guy. If you ever watch his videos, not much taller than me, and that's not beard, long hair, very Bay Area, San Francisco area. And he always said the two greatest stressors are when we feel like we're out of control in the present and there's no predictability about tomorrow. Okay, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I feel helpless right now. Two biggest stressors that we've been now facing for 2 years.
Right.
And that's because, again, the brain has to have a sense of, I know what will happen, so I know how to handle this. So I won't get eaten by a bear. Right. And it's old fear. There's no evidence that something terrible will happen. And so we have to look at, oh, look, I'm afraid. That's fascinating. What's the worst that can happen in this moment, really? And what can I control right now? And anything that you control, clean off your desk, anything that would give your brain a sense of, I do have some things in front of me I can control. Will start to ease the stress, because you can't make it go away. Again, it's very primal, control and predictability. So better that you just notice it and say, okay, so if that's what it is, what can I do with it? Yeah.
So again, you're putting people a choice through observation, which is absolutely beautiful. And I think that I do the same thing. It's breathing in the moment and really stepping back from that situation and asking yourself those powerful questions so that you can get yourself in relationship with this in completely different level. Instead of being in response all the time, through the flight and fight mode. Yeah. Oh my God, what do I do next? So taking time, right? And noticing what really triggers you. I think that you always teach people around the triggers, what really triggers them to be able to react immediately instead of taking time to respond to the situation.
Right. And try to understand it. It's not just fear. A lot of what's happening in the last 2 years, really.
2 years. It's already 2 years.
Yeah. But also anger. I wrote a blog post for Psychology Today called I Miss Me. Because I was finding it was like every little thing was irritating me. Get out of my space. And I wrote this post and I said, my anger, my irritation is crazy. And I had so many people respond and say, oh, thank you, because I thought something was wrong with me. Yeah. And again, it's these internal processes that we're not fully conscious of, that we are afraid, but now we're getting angry. It's like, because my space is littler. There's things I can't do right now that I want to do. And then we blame like the government or whatever, when it just is, again, to notice, okay, I'm angry. Can I breathe? Can I get out? And I fortunately live in a beautiful place like you where it's warm. I can go for a walk, move my body, which releases some of that tension. We just have to notice when we start to tense up. You don't have to know what it is. It's just that I notice I'm starting to tense up. What can I do to release the tension? And appreciate this beautiful life that I'm living. Whatever it is, we're still under green trees, maybe not for some people right now in the world, but but they have beautiful snow, it's like,
of course.
Yeah.
So we have this physiological, reaction to the unknown, which is our brain and us really trying to protect ourselves and making sure that we don't trigger our stress triggers, as you beautifully said, from the research of the doctor you mentioned. But also there is this level of a deeper conversation here for me, which is how do we trust life on a deeper spiritual level,
Yeah.
in a way that if you trust unknown, we trust that life has something good in stakes for us. And life in itself is kind and compassionate and will facilitate your learning or life journey into the direction where you actually need to go. And we know this from the coaching conversation. Sometimes people come and say, I want this, right? This is my goal. This is where I want to go. This is where I want to be. And then in those conversations, somehow this wonderful coaching space facilitates something completely different that people never even thought about, because there's something different, usually, isn't it?
Bubbling up, that's stirring.
Yeah.
Well, there's two things that you mentioned that I think are important. One is, can we just look at life as a journey of lessons? It's like, what am I learning right now? What is life teaching me in this moment? Which, the last 2 years have shown us. And each person, even the people that we struggle with, they're teaching us lessons. So what is it that I'm learning that I can gain from this moment? Is a critical question. But the other side of it is that if you don't have even a sense of what my life purpose could be, why am I here at this time? What would be different if I wasn't here? And it could be just to, bring your family joy. It doesn't have to be changing the world, but what fulfills you that you can say, oh, that's my purpose, at least for now. That becomes your anchor, your stake in the ground. It was like Viktor Frankl in Man's Search for Meaning. Said that if I know what it is I'm here for, then I can manage to deal with anything. And he was in, a concentration camp. I can, and what I will do, what I can accomplish once I have more freedom, it keeps me going. And I know that when I get really busy, it's like, well, but look what I'm doing for so many people. And that's an important thing. If I wasn't doing that, what would I be doing with my life? What would be the reason I'm here? So those two things of, looking at the lessons I'm learning and having a sense of purpose, are so critical for us in getting through any challenges that we face.
Absolutely. And I think that deeper sense of purpose on what makes you fulfilled in this moment right now, and trusting that sense of purpose will unfold and get you to where you need to go, no matter what are the external circumstances, and also
it could unfold. You may not know it in the moment, but trust that it will unfold.
Trust it will unfold. Absolutely. And I've practiced that myself. When you jump onto the plane, you go to the adventure, into the unknown, and you don't know all the details. I think that level of faith and trust that it will unfold and riding that way usually brings a lovely surprise, lovely people that you meet alongside the journey, great lessons of life, new opportunities, something that you never imagined, actually, something that you never thought could happen, will happen, right? But I think that whole jumping into that space of unknown with that faith behind you, it's very important nowadays. And we somehow got stuck into really being worried about everything. So we need to relax.
I the classic movie The Way, was I think it was Martin Sheen. But anyway, he was walking the what is it, the trail in Spain?
Yes.
Camino. The Camino, right. And because he went looking for his son. And it's really a metaphor for life. All the people he met along the way, the challenges, the joy, and then getting to the end. That's our life, is the way. It's walking the Camino, And again, if we can look at it that way, that it's all those things, and you can't just have a happy life, all the time. It's like it's always ups and downs, always ups and downs. I mean, you can feel happy that I'm experiencing ups and downs,
Otherwise, it will be boring, I suppose. I think.
Yeah, then it's just like this, it's like, again, my client last night, she said, well, I get really scared and then I do it and I do it well and I'm happy. And then I kind of, come down. She says, do I, and she goes, I'm just kind of normal. And she says, am I avoiding being disappointed? And, like, do I come down because I want to make sure bad things doesn't happen or people won't judge me? I said, no, it's normal. We go down, we go up, we come to here, and then we go up and we go down, and we come to here. And when I started studying emotional intelligence, I remember reading, that's the way your brain stabilizes. That if you were happy, happy, happy all the time, there's something mentally wrong with you.
So happy that I'm not happy all the time.
Right. It's too much. It's too much chemicals for the brain. So we go up, we go down, we go here, we go up, we go down. Yeah.
It needs harmony. It needs stabilization and harmony. It needs to go to this,
Yes. Yeah. And just be here now. And that's what we do. Yeah.
So how do we be here now? What is your strategy or practice or tip? So in order for us to be able to be comfortable with the known, we actually do have to be here now at this very present moment and really enjoy that right now, right here moment in time. And sometimes it's difficult for all of us, to kind of maintain that level of presence in life.
Yeah. Well, they teach us in coaching to be curious. To get in, and curiosity is an emotion. It's not a thought. And so, what does it feel like to feel curious, and to just open my mind with curiosity? Well, it's not just in coaching, it's in life, but again, you have to practice. I always tell people, set your phone for the alarm to go off 3 times a day and ask yourself, what am I feeling? What am I feeling in this moment? And you don't necessarily even have to know why, maybe later. But this starts to wire your brain for self-awareness, for sensing emotions, because we're not good at this. By the time you're afraid, you're already coursing with adrenaline and you got all this stuff going on in your body and it's hard to shift. But the quicker you can notice, I'm afraid, I'm angry, I'm confused. The quicker you can then, the first thing is to release the tension in your body. We always say breathe, but it's not breathe. It's part of it is I'm noticing this. So I notice there's tension in my body. And I can't tell you where. It'll show up in different places, so your stomach, your back. I had one woman who said my ears.
That's special.
Yeah. So you notice it, then you breathe and relax. You have to manage your body before you can manage your thoughts. So all that stuff about self-talk that we used to say is bunk. It's totally not true. Because you can't tell your brain what to do if you don't first relax your body, because you have to you've got all this adrenaline, you've got to stop it with the brain chemicals. Okay, that's only by emotions. It's not by thought. Thought doesn't create anything, other than you think, oh, what's going on in my body? You have to use your thoughts to manage the process. But I have to relax my body. So when I start to notice stuff, I like, okay, release the tension, get comfortable, uncross your legs, and ground yourself. And fully ground your spine. We all often think of the front and we forget about the back, mountain pose in yoga. Fully ground your spine. For me, if I'm already like knee deep in my tension, then I know I need to get up and go outside and go hiking in those mountains, so whatever it is, I need to move my body. But the first thing is just to notice, to release the tension and to breathe. then choose how you want to feel.
Mhm.
Okay, not what you want to think. The thoughts will follow the emotion. So
Mhm.
I want to feel curious. I want to feel grateful. I want to care about these people in front of me, even though they're irritating me.
Mhm.
What is it you want to feel in this moment? And really breathe that into your entire body.
Mhm.
Then the right thoughts will come.
Mhm.
Then the right thoughts will come. And you have to trust the right thoughts will come. That's the big thing in order to ground yourself and be present,
Mhm.
is to manage your body first.
Mhm. I love that you're mentioning this because I completely and totally agree with you. I think the body is the key to everything. And once when you are practicing
Mhm.
the skills that you just shared with us with your body, then you can balance your emotion, get into your mind, and really choose your thoughts wisely. And this is helping us to be fully present in the present moment, in the very moment right now.
Mhm.
With that, you become comfortable with unknown as well. Because if you keep on presencing yourself all the time
Yeah.
throughout your timeline of your life journey, then the
Yeah.
unknown, it's everlasting presence. So you're here and now all the time. And we
Yeah.
know when you're 100% present that, everything else is taken care of because you will be able to balance your own emotions and not experience anxiety or fear or thoughts
Mhm.
about the future that might annoy you or alert you or, whatever.
That you don't know anyway.
You don't know anyway. Yeah, that's the thing. You don't know anyway. I mean, this is just an assumption,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
Or
totally.
expectations that will never, never, never happen. Usually people say
Yeah.
fear, false expectations are feeling real.
Yeah.
You're expecting something from life that you don't know it's going to happen. It's false. And then you're
Yeah.
energizing it by giving it energy and time. And then
Right.
suddenly, woof, it's in your reality. So I think that this presence is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Zoran,
The body. Yeah.
um, Tombstone, Arizona, is like an old Western town, and they have Boot Hill, so the old OK Corral and all of that stuff actually happened there. And they have Boot Hill that has all these cowboy graves. And there's one headstone that says, 95% of what killed me never happened.
There you go. I love that.
Right.
It's such a beautiful wisdom of life. It's just true. I mean, we lived enough to know that when you're looking back, 95%, what I thought will kill you, never happened. So we covered that. We covered, how we balance our brain and understanding that there is a physiological, initiation in our brain, and we need to be mindful of that. We also talked about the deeper meaning of trust and faith, and how do we get in relationship to the life lessons, right? Or the life journey, and we start trusting that life journey. And then now you talked beautifully about relationship of our physical body, our emotions, and also our mental body to presence ourselves in a given moment in time to be able to be experiencing this uncertainty in such a powerful and new way. So any last thoughts for this lovely conversation? Anything that you would love to leave our audience with? You already shared the practice, but I would love to kind of sum it up with you sharing a few more bits and pieces.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's something that's useful as we walk through life completely, that, understanding that we live by our past stories, so the reason why we're afraid of the unknown is because our brain is making decisions at every moment based on the past, and all of a sudden we recognize, well, the past is not a guiding light right now. But just to remember, it's the past. It's what happened before, and it's over, and it's over. And it isn't a guiding light. I've just had some experiences and lessons I've learned from. And so it's the lessons that I learned from that will help me move through the present and the future in an easier way, because I've learned from them. I don't regret anything. I've learned from them. So, I think that whole understanding the way our brain sabotages us is so important. Yeah.
Yeah, making those decisions out of the present moment and then learning from the past in a way that this is just learning lessons. You're absolutely right. We made decisions by referencing our past. From my experience, this has happened, but we need to let go of all of that. And right now, our life is like that. And we're all called to let go and be very present in the moment right now and enjoy this uncertainty. As you and I said, create it on the level of adventure. What can happen in my life if I'm fully aligned to my purpose, which also you mentioned the purpose and the meaning and the deeper of you, and how this can serve you in unfolding something that you really can enjoy and energize that timeline instead of worrying, for example, about what might happen, what could happen. Positive, staying positive, right?
Yeah.
Staying positive and empowering.
And get out and help your neighbors.
Yeah, go and help your neighbor. Absolutely.
Go help your neighbors because that'll make you feel good too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do that, all the time, extending the help, really being good member of community because the more you give, the more you get. Wonderful, wonderful. And if you don't know, there is a book behind Marcia, the Coaching the Person, Not the Problem. This is an amazing book, not only for the coaches. Usually people ask me when we talked about Marcia, is this book for professional coaches? I say yes, and it's book for everybody. If you read that book, you can learn so much about yourself and how can you coach yourself in your own life, even if you're not coached. So it's a good personal development book.
Yeah. And
Marcia,
connect with people. With people. Yeah. How do you really connect? Yeah.
That's it. How do you really connect to people? Yeah. How do you relate on a deeper level? Marcia, thank you so much for coming to this wonderful podcast. It's always a lovely conversation with you. Let's continue in a few months' time.
I would love to. Always love to.
Everybody, thank you so much for coming, for following our podcast, for listening, and for being here for us. We make this for you. We hope this conversation helped you elevate yourself to the next level and raise your vibration. Thank you so much for listening in. Bye, Marcia.
Bye, Zoran. Thank you.